departments were to indicate how their operations aligned with the vision that the city council and mayor and council passed during the first retreat. And then during that second retreat, we spent some time diving into how do you prioritize what's really important, what are some implementation actions that you want to take around those focus areas that help you accomplish the vision that you had. And since then, we've been working, going back and forth with Holly and Robert on the draft report and developing the goals and strategies, and to come up with the document that you have before you tonight. The goals and strategies, what we are hoping is that you indicate that those are the goals and strategies that you want moving forward, and then we're proposing an effective implementation date of July 1. We're about to go through the budget process, or maybe you've already started the budget process. And part of what the work that still needs to happen is really diving into because some of these goals and strategies, they're big, right? Just establish an East Perry campus. That's a big thing. And what we need to do over the course of the next couple months is really drill down, and I've got an example for you to show the level of milestones and metrics that we'll work with the administration team on and with the department heads that will allow you to then see on a periodic basis progress being made to those large-scale projects and how to move forward with those. With that quick review, the final process that you went through, revised, didn't change the vision statement for the city of Perry, but it did adjust in that second workshop that we had, did adjust the mission statement to take out the words around historic resources and to really try and capture what you see as the role of the city of Perry as a governmental entity in creating that vision for the city of Perry. So that's coming to you through exactly through your plan development process. So as we went through the draft of the strategic plan, looking through all the notes, going through the departmental sessions, and started to formulate the goals and strategies, at the outset of this, there were 8 focus areas, and one of those focus areas was service provision. And as we started sort of looking at what was involved in terms of goals and strategies around service provision, they really kind of fit better with growth and sustainability or organizational excellence. There wasn't anything unique about service provision as a focus area. Obviously, you're a city, you provide services, so that's your focus, but we didn't need to state that. I didn't think so. So in consultation with Robert Lee and the mayor, made the decision to incorporate the goals and strategies that would have been in a separate focus area into the other appropriate focus areas. The other piece that's in the plan is really, so think of the focus areas, if you will, as the lens through which you look at making decisions. So if you're faced with the tough choice of limited resources and time and money, what's important to you, these are the things that you said, these are important to us. Obviously, this isn't an exhaustive list of all the things that could be important to you, but it helps you sort of, if something new comes to you, you can go, hey, does this fit? If what we wanted was quality of life, and this is what we meant by quality of life in terms of amenities and services and leisure activities, and that feeling of a safe community where you were able very comfortably to go about daily life. Does this fit with that or not? You can still do it, but it's more about giving you some language and some context in which to evaluate projects that might come before you. Some of the focus areas, and we're going to go through the different goals and strategies in just a minute. Some of them have more, at this point in time, more goals than others. That doesn't make the ones that only have 3 or 4 goals less important than the others. But it is, I think, only had limited dollars, where would you invest those dollars? One of your number one priority was light. So obviously in the quality of life category, you've got the goal of eliminating light throughout the city. And in the strategies, you'll see that there are a couple of different ways that you accomplish that goal, or you move towards accomplishing that goal. Whether it's commercial light or residential light, you still want to make sure that Perry is a place where there's good quality structures, where it doesn't have trash or litter, where it's aesthetically pleasing on business. The focus on neighborhood revitalization, there's strategies specific to Sand Hill and Holyfield, which were priorities that were identified, but it also sets out that there might be, over the next 5 years, other small areas where you would want to do a revitalization area strategy that you don't have identified right now, but you call out, the plan calls out Holyfield and Sand Hill as priorities for neighborhood revitalization. Across all of the goals and strategies, you'll see a couple of times goals and strategies that have to do with amending or land development ordinance, right? Management, yes. That's in there, looking at it from a couple of different ways, whether it's about green space or stormwater, or what are those things, building materials, what are those things that you can regulate that would accomplish the vision that you have for the city. Expanding connectivity through sidewalks, and that bike paths. It's harder than it should be said. So you have connectivity plans. So your strategy there is not to reproduce your connectivity plan here, but to say, as part of doing that, this is what we're going to go do, is implement that plan and adjust it. Under the existing, enhanced and improved existing future services facilities, you've got your projects that you've already identified, that you have on the books already, where you have planned improvements. So it's about identifying that as things that the city is going to go about doing and connecting it to your quality of life for the city. Downtown development, continuing to grow the downtown, you have the downtown master plan that was adopted by the city. There's also been, as part of the departmental sessions, there was the recommendation or the proposal that you would pursue the GEMS program through the Exceptional Main Street program to elevate the recognition that Perry is getting for their downtown development and the benefits of that. But there's also some strategies in there regarding board development, your relationship with Main Street and DDA. And then you'll also see reference to those boards and authorities that you have under diversity, equity, and inclusion to make sure that you've got a good representation of the makeup of the Perry in those individual boards. Any questions or thoughts or comments or any? I didn't go. This is probably the largest, other than growth and sustainability, probably the longest list of goals and strategies. Anything that you think could be worded differently or that might be missing that we haven't included yet? These are going to be all the things that are in orange. a sports complex? Is it something else?
Not in that location. A sports complex needs to be, have good internet, interstate access, and we are, the crossroads of Georgia, so we are an ideal location for families that spend thousands of dollars every year with their children playing, these sports and staying in hotels and eating in restaurants and buying gas and everything else that they do.
Okay, so we can absolutely add, the sports complex as a whole.
I have fathers call me on a regular basis about it.
My concern over the next 5 years, but I don't know where we would get the funding to do that. I think that we can talk to the county. I know we have to talk to the county. I've talked to the county. They really don't have an appetite for that. The funding for that size of a project is probably going to come from somewhere between $10 million and $15 million. The demand that we have right now for so many other competing factors just to get through the next 5 years, I personally, unless we can get the county to put it in the next SPLOST as a countywide project, I would recommend that that's where we try to work towards, because I don't, in looking at the budget, Mr. Gilmore can help me with this, but we've got the SPLOST money we got right now is what's going to come in. Type of money, we know what that is, it's already allocated. That goes through 25. So that money is allocated, and I don't know where the source of funding would come to actually do that before we go into that new 2026 SPLOST. And then I think the thing that we would have to do is work with the new county, chairman, and get him on board with the rest of the new chairman or the commissioners to see, can we talk to you guys about this being a countywide project rather than Harry trying to take on? Because most of them I see are county funded, very few of them are just city.
Some are city, county, and some are public-private. I think if, frankly, I think if we had the heart to do it, we could find the funding. I do. There's just too many people that want it, that there's too much evidence as to what it could do for our area. One Robin's still a new part, but every person without exception that I've spoken to whose children are involved in travel ball, said that park is a disappointment. It is not located in anywhere that's, that's easily accessible. It is not going to be in Harry had a park near the interstate. That park would fade into oblivion. That there's no competition for Harry. In fact, the people that I've spoken to in Cordele and other places said that if Harry had a park, the rest of them would fade because we are so ideally located. So I think that it takes great desire to have it, and then the determination to find the money, whether it be through some bonds, however, but I just don't like to see it not even on the radar in this plan.
Okay.
They haven't been receptive because they have been approved. And
Who's this? What's the question?
100 kids showed up at Roger Park one day because Roger Park wouldn't be able to hold all the kids that are at Oklahoma. So it's needed, it's very much needed. Cedric, and I will speak to you, Cedric, because Cedric is 1,000% in favor of this and has worked in ways to figure out how it could do the city things, and then this still be available for people that travel in. It's an equal opportunity, equal access, you know, for people. I just want to see it in the plan. Somewhere that we are at least pursuing it, we're researching it.
Okay. Anything else on quality of life? Next area is organizational excellence, and you know, this was a long conversation around your recruitment and attracting and retaining talent. And you've got several initiatives that are underway, but that will continue to be a goal over the next 5 years. From a financial management and fiscal policy, having a treasury management policy, fund balance reserve policy, putting together those important reports to encourage transparency and easy understanding of the city's finances. Also, looking at doing some forecasting or multi-year budgeting from a planning standpoint, so that you can look at those issues like where will we be in 3 years, where will our needs be in 5 years, how do we go about funding this? Seeking the external validation for organizational excellence, so that's your plan first designation, your GIT designation, your water first, all of those things, and your, then there was also some discussion during the department sessions of additional certifications to go after, such as the land-based and recreation and leisure services. It's sort of like the gold standard of recreation and recreation. On the, there was lots of discussion about maintaining the appropriate building. So if you think about, this really ties back to your quality of life. If one of your quality of life issues is to eliminate blight, but then you go to a city building and it's in disrepair or cramped and it's back on top of each other, they kind of complement each other. Those looking at it from a city facility side, and there are a couple of different projects that are out there that are in the works, heading forward. This is, or will be in the near term. It's about developing what are those timelines and metrics so that everybody understands the priority of those projects as you move forward. Under the robust relationships with various partner agencies, whether that be, this is also in economic development, or under relationships with the development authority, with the counties, with the cities, with the school board, those partners that you have that are critical to the success of the city, making sure that you've got regular communication also with your downtown development authority, your Main Street board, if you establish a historic preservation commission, all of those things sort of tied in together, making sure that you are setting the expectation for what it means to be an engaged board member, what it means to be part of the leadership. Utilizing technology to enhance operational effectiveness. There were a couple of different examples. I know one of the things that you was expressed during the planning process as a strategy for increasing your utilization of GIS, whether it's from a policing fire standpoint or it's a service provision standpoint, planning, all of those things are opportunities for, and I know y'all had some recent discussion about GIS, and some companies, but ways that you can do that, but also using
that's where our employees are going to go. And they're not gonna go to Cordele or Eastman, they're gonna go to, somewhere in Clayton County.
I would even suggest to you that things like reviewing and updating your personnel policy, that is, if you've got policies that are difficult for people to understand, or they aren't current, keeping track of what the current and future HR scripts are, that will also drive people, as much as pay or benefits, but just sort of the bureaucracy of being a city employee. So having things on the radar screen, and our goal is to update our policy with regard to these things as part of the review. So under community engagement and accountability, this is one of those where there's not a lot of goals, but that doesn't make it unimportant, because part of what you want to do is to look for opportunities to share information in an easily understandable fashion that speaks across very different venues. And so your budget book, where it sort of takes your big budget and puts it in plain English so that it's easily understood and accessible. Quarterly town hall meetings, there was some discussion at the retreat even about doing some neighborhood efforts where if the neighborhood is taking the lead and y'all being engaged in that process. Really wanting, what I heard from y'all was that you really wanted to be, you are visible at community events and you want to maintain community. All as a part of engagement and accountability. Under the next one, which was to utilize citizen advisory boards for input on different issues. We didn't really identify what the issues were, but that's a concept that as you look towards equity and inclusion, that you want to have individuals who have a vested interest or who might be impacted by a policy or an issue involved in that process, not controlling it, but providing you that input. And then developing some training around what it means to be an advisor to the city on a particular issue or topic or in a particular area. Records management, you know, it is not an exciting topic, right? It's not an exciting argument. Record retention is not exciting. You know, nobody gets all charged up about doing that. You don't be fair about record retention. But it's really important to make sure that you are a trusted keeper of those documents across all of your different functions, whether it's law enforcement, the city operations, the budgetary decisions, so that you can share that information with your principal. And then access to information needed for well-known citizen and candidates for elected office. So a couple of things that came up. One is you got the Peer University that you got going in. There was talk about sort of citizens guide. When you live in Perry, this is what we expect of you. Communicating sort of the values of the city and how they can engage with certain services, and also from the city elections. Board of Elections. But that if so you want to run for city council in Perry, here's all the things you should know before you do. That helpful information to help individuals make good decisions about how they want to be engaged in the city. having the end user involved or engaged give you that, that input on their experience, through the lens of community engagement and accountability. I think it's just, again, it's just a focus. We need to think through where we can do more of this, because it's important. Growth and sustainability. This one is one where we already have a lot more details that was evident through the department head sessions, but this is also one where you can throw a whole lot of stuff included in growth and sustainability. So one thing that's in the works right now, this is part of what came out of the planning process, is our service delivery strategy. And, you know, you have a service delivery strategy agreement with Houston County, City of Warner Robins, and Center of Integrity, that identifies who's got the first right of refusal for water, sewer, and gas. And so making sure that that fits your ability to serve in the future, and sort of matching that up. I know that's a process that's underway currently in that. But it's, again, making sure that you should periodically review your service delivery strategy to make sure that it is appropriate and it aligns with what it is that you're doing as a city operation. Provide infrastructure to sustain growth. So there were several projects that were identified in planning for the East Perry service area around water, sewer, public safety, recreation, and public works, the new wastewater treatment facility, and critical infrastructure projects. Rather than list out all of the critical road projects that you have in the works, such as St. Patrick's Drive Extension, Langston Road, those sorts of things, we know that they're out there, and there may be, over the course of the next 5 years, maybe other projects that come up because of development that become a priority. But it's about you saying, it's important to the city of Perry to invest in our infrastructure as we move forward. Maintaining or protecting and growing a tree canopy and green space preservation, and this, you see this also a little bit in the quality of life. We're talking about potentially revising your land management development ordinance, land development. Land management, I don't know why I want to put the word development in here. Anyway, about preserving green space. So these sort of tie together in a nice way. There was interest in establishing a conservation commission. We talked about the importance of the MS4 permitting authority that you have and what that requires on a regular basis. That you're already doing, but you want to make sure that over the next 5 years you can maintain that commission. Those are going to require you to maintain that, just like maintaining your Plan First designation or your DIC designation. Those things are going to require you to do things that will come to you over the course of the next 5 years. The promote livable, sustainable, and quality neighborhoods, that has a lot to do with revising your land management ordinance. And then maintain the high level of reliable, uninterrupted water, sewer, and gas service. We heard the presentation from utilities. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. There were a number of projects that were identified as things over the next 5 years. And each of those has a schedule. You've got a budget associated with those. But this is about making sure that you can maintain the services that you have inside the current service area and can afford to do them and provide them at a reliability with them. Anything on growth and sustainability?
I would just add on number 6 that I would commend the council for relative to some decisions we've made lately relative to promoting just that. I think that's a fair, accurate thing to say. No, I would. It's not us. It's us. It's certainly not one individual member, but I think this council really is committed to doing that and making those tough decisions relative to the that are in alignment with that. I think that's extremely important going forward. We have support
Keep it up.
Those are not popular things to do.
In the area of economic development, again, a lot of overlap, at least from my perspective, in the goals for economic development to your growth and sustainability goals, because you can't have economic development without the infrastructure there, whether it's roads, water, sewer, natural gas. But stating that first goal of, you want to make sure that you're taking care of the existing businesses that you have in here. A lot of times focus is, just like we were talking about a few minutes ago about personnel, it's not just about attracting new talent, it's also about retaining the talent you have. So this is the corresponding one in the lens of economic development, where you want to make sure that your existing industry, existing businesses know what services are available to them as a business in theory, and that if they have identified need, y'all are working to try and not necessarily take on their problem, but if maybe direct them in the right way to the right solutions. And doing those through things like the job fairs that you've done for workforce development, helping to offer different opportunities and resource fairs that you've had that existing businesses really in that. The recruiting new businesses to Peoria, we've had some success in that of late, and this is about different strategies that you would put in place in order to match your desire for growth and your infrastructure abilities to meet that. The enhanced partnership with the Development Authority of Houston County. So this is really about creating that, and we could lump this in with the relationship with other partners, but I thought it was important here because they are the industrial marketing arm for Houston County, making sure that you've got an enhanced relationship with them, with regular interactions, where they really understand what the vision is of the city of Peoria, what your capacity is to serve industrial prospects. Attracting a technology firms to Peoria, this is geared towards especially the Software Center of Excellence designation for Robins Air Force Base, in creating a technology park as an opportunity, given the quality of life and the services and amenities that are in Peoria. So interesting, one of the things that we do annually is work with 21st Century Partnership and understanding the data of where employment of employees or retirees from Air Force Base live. And then you'll eventually get an in-person review to based on that. But noted a real shift in more retirees and more employees in Houston County moving into the Peoria, Elko, into your neck of the woods. And while it might not have built a building, if there's a technology park here that has base workers doing something like they're doing at Synergy, it is that quality of life is an attractant to individuals who want that community sense that we're involved in doing constantly. And then sort of looking at what are some opportunities that might exist to spend other people's money rather than the city's, in terms of federal and state resources, and looking at projects when they come to you and saying what are the resources that are available and pursuing them when they fit for the city. Anything else in the realm of economic development?
Laura, I have one item, if mayor and council are agreeable to add this, but since entrepreneurship is so important, then under the recruit new businesses, could we put something about, continue supporting entrepreneurs and create an ecosystem where they can thrive? It's been a big topic of discussion in the conferences in the last year, that entrepreneurs, generate 95% of new jobs, but I'd love to see entrepreneurship in there. Council's agreeable to it.
As a strategy of recruiting new business? Okay.
Under number 3A, for that quarterly meeting with development authority, is that the thing to repeat that? It's not a, I mean, it's not a broad, that's not broad, that's specific. Are we going to, is that the thing?
That's the plan if you adopt the strategic strategy, yes.
Okay.
board member, for example, on this, is that may be successful or it may not, depending on what the position is of the partner, if they have an interest in doing it. But we intend to pursue that so that both parties understand where they are and what's particularly for the city of Perry, what the city of Perry is interested in relative to economic development and what's not interested in relative to economic development. For example, I'm not sure, but no, I'm sorry, as the manager, I am sure we should not go out and support and try and recruit an automobile assembly plant or something like that. You know, just because of the impact it can have on it and the uncertainty as to whether it's going to be around or not. See what I mean? There could be other types of activities, oil refinery, that we may not be interested in. See what I mean? So I think it's just as important for us going through and working with the Industrial Development Authority to indicate to the authority or to anybody else what Perry is interested in having in our area and what we're not. Because there are a number of economic development activities that carry that magic ringing bell of, thank you, of all kinds of jobs, okay? But a lot of times people get lost or forget or don't realize until it's already here what the impact is of having all kinds of jobs in your community. See what I mean? It could very well be something that we don't want, and there could be conflicts between what we say is a livable community with a lot of amenities compared to, and being overrun by that type of stuff. So that's what we would anticipate.
Right, and so there's no magic to quarterly. I mean, it could have been semi-annually. We never talked about it being monthly, but it's a starting place for enhanced dialogue between the city and the development body, and then we'll see where it goes.
I agree, it's important, so I was happy to see that.
Anything else on that comment on it? Equity and diversity, couple of strategies here. One is the services that the city provides, and there's some opportunities through the international fair, through programming that's available through services, identifying what are those different opportunities besides baseball and basketball that can be offered in community that would attract a wide range of people. And then you had I think you had a ceremony yesterday, maybe, with Dave Ford. No, today's just
Right.
Tuesday.
Well, Friday, we had the pleasure of having the Consul General for this country of Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, here to hear a presentation from
the Georgia Municipal Association and their race program, is a new initiative. And as you move forward, in your strategic plan, there may be different, they're going to be rolling out a certificate program. Yeah, a certificate program for the city, where depending on the different types of activities that the city is involved in, you may receive the bronze level, silver level, gold, and platinum level, in terms of being a diverse and inclusive community, much like the city of ethics designation, and the recognition that comes from that. And they also offer training available for city staff, city elected officials, community groups. And so that's a real opportunity. The final report of that commission was just adopted in January. And it has some really great examples. We're still sort of reading through the 60 pages of recommendations. So there's some really good activities and projects or initiatives to think through in terms of planning, in terms of services that you provide, where are the barriers, training for law enforcement, those sorts of things. But it's about making that training available to city staff and elected officials.
And I think if you're in the earlier, where we were going to ensure that we were planning for, we were a city of ethics, all of those other things. So this, once the certification or the certification program is put in place, it's probably something we need to look at is how do we participate in that, to achieve whatever level that we're comfortable with in that. Also, looking at potentially leading the Embrace program into our routine celebration or somewhere in and around that. Freddie comes down and does some training during that period of time. We just look at how to do that. Freddie Bloom is the one who training.
He's their diversity, equity, and inclusion director. Anything else in this area? So the last month or so, I've participated in 3 different conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion, each from a very different perspective. One from the Air Force, one from GMA, and looking at it through the city services, the relationship between citizens and law enforcement, looking at it from the hardware barriers that exist to different population groups that are in your city, how can you include individuals. And then I was at our National Association Washington Policy Conference, and the whole conversation around diversity, equity, and inclusion had to do with city versus rural, urban versus rural, and gender, and ethnicity, and education level. And I'm like, wow, this is such a really broad conversation to have. And the one thing that I understand thus far about the race program through the Georgia Municipal Association is that it's not about getting you to do something you don't want to do. It's about seeing where you are, and then if you want to be doing more in this arena, there's some tools, things, and opportunities that you can do if you want to have those relationships. Anything else on that one? Goals of consistent police response. I don't, when we took out 911 and we were waiting for any emergency service to arrive, it never comes fast enough. It actually does come fast enough, comes as fast as it possibly can, or when you're in that crisis moment. But having that confidence and that reliability of when you need the service, they respond, and they're not being barriers to that. And then making sure that you are, for the growth that you have, that you are staffed appropriately so that you can maintain those response times and those service levels that you want to keep up. There's been quite a bit of conversation around public safety. And go back to quality of life, where in your quality of life discussion, it was about people feeling safe and not living without fear of without exhausting them. Because you want to have those events for the quality of life that you want, but it's hurting the strain that it puts on your public safety to maintain the level of service that you expect. What are those things, and how do you go about practicing them? I tell you, if we come up with some measurable things that will move Erie forward in that regard, there will be lots of cities who are interested in that. As community events, you know, in Warner Robins, the challenge there is recreation facilities, and how are they policing recreation facilities when they grow recreation facilities, but they don't expand the workforce? How are they being able to make sure that that is a safe place for their recreation facilities? So in your case, it's more about the special events and the number of people who come to town. About making sure, again, tying back to the quality of life goal, or focus area about trying to insulate to the best of your ability, not by putting your head in the sand, but instead by having hard conversations around those negative influences that exist because of the interstate location, you know, making sure that you are cognizant of that interstate creates an opportunity for lots of people from here who might not have Harry's best interest in mind, and trying to do things that make you aware of trends that might be ahead of you or headed your way, and then developing strategies to address those.
Excuse me, maybe we could visit, special events with the police and fire,
Yes.
come to the trustees, as far as the trustees, we are having our first pop-up event this month. And I'm looking at the chief, so I can't remember how it's gonna be staffed. So,
For the pop-up event, well, it'll be staffed by members of the police department, members of trust district committee, and anybody from the lake body wants to come. Meet in Oldfield Park and have the slush truck, whatever it's called, the food truck, the Sunset Slush food truck, and have conversation and treats, and just initiate a conversation from a different perspective with the police and citizens.
That's great. Also, and that goes also ties to the Mike's role of the community, traditional police department, finding those ways that where you might not traditionally see them, they are there as a way to help people understand the approachability and the goal of actually anything else related to public safety? So in talking through the next steps from here, the proposal would be, that this would come back to, mayor and council at a meeting in April for your adoption. So it's based on some inputs from tonight. We wanted to give you the goals and strategies, and just do a report, see if there's anything additional that should be added. If that happens in April, then we would continue to work on the development of milestones, timelines, and deliverables for the strategies that you see, with an eye towards going through the budget process over the next couple of months, and towards the implementation date of July 1, so we coincide with your July 1, 2022 budget. And then we will forward with the implementation what are the steps in order to accomplish this goal? What are the steps that will be needed this year and over the next 5 years to move that project forward? And then what's the timeline associated with it? So that then on a periodic basis, you can do a check-in to say, you know, Robert, this was supposed to have been done in the last 6 months. Have you done anything? What's going on? Was some other priority on your plate that you weren't allowed, you weren't able to work on this? But then that creates an opportunity for a dashboard, a public-facing dashboard that lets you share on big initiatives for the city, or to the level that you want, to build that community engagement and accountability, that accountability measure. We adopted, we went through this process, we adopted this plan, we said these were our goals and our focus areas, these were going to be our strategies, and here's where we are in implementing those and moving those projects forward. It might not look like this. We're evaluating a couple of different tools to make it easy for management going forward, because this will be something that the city is responsible for maintaining going forward. But it does create that opportunity for mayor and council, also through the budget process, to prioritize. If something is, you know, you can't get limited resources of time and money. So we're faced with the choice of how fast do we move on something? You've got the ability of looking at that implementation strategy, there's deliverables on how quickly that moves. So we're waiting to get to
Yeah, I do apologize for this kind of work. I've been playing around with some sort of basic project management tool that will be able to take all of the various goals and strategies and stuff and put it into this tool and kind of spell out the whole project, if you will. And I hope to be more, land on something more visual, you know, like a completion bar, pie perhaps, or something like that. This is simply a screenshot of an Excel spreadsheet, and Excel's kind of clunky. You know, we talked initially about, now that we have Office 365, putting together basically a sheet, you know, for each of the various strategies. And the department heads would basically share that in a shared document in the cloud, you know, get any updated necessarily, but it's just not really a good way to go about that.
Right, and we've got some suggestions also that we'll share with the city on different tools as we're sort of co-evaluating tools that are here. But we didn't want to go to this level of granularity if there were strategies that were missing, or strategies that you wanted to add or change. We wanted to really get the focus areas, goals, and strategies solidified with mayor and council, and then spend the time looking on more in-depth basis.
Keeping in mind, too, the strategic plan really setting the vision as to where we are going to be going as a group, that we agree that's where we want to go. Giving that to administration and the department heads about this is where we as a council and mayor feel is very important for the city of Perry to be moving forward. But it does get into the granular part. The granular part was, in my mind, come in our performance management system, where we actually move to the tactical side of it and what is it going to take to accomplish this, and that will appear in the individual's performance plans of what they're going to accomplish in the next 12 months that's in support of where we want to go forward over the next 12 months. And we'll reevaluate this every year and say, you know, that didn't work very well. It's not going to be part of our long-term strategic plan to pull that out. We need to make these changes relative to that. But this really gives our staff where we want to go and what we want to accomplish at a much higher level than individual performance levels.
So the question's going to be asked, are there barriers that exist to getting to that milestone? Or is it to cause that, or was it just not on anybody's radar screen? And, that's part of the whole point of the dashboard is to tell you where you are, how fast you're going. Do you need gas or not? And so developing the level of granularity that the administration needs for working with individual department heads and contractors, but then sort of stepping up a level to what's the public facing dashboard that's available.
I think we as a council and mayor have to understand that we are not the implementers. The implementation comes from Ms. Gilmore, Mr. Smith's level, and the department head level. We're truly policy makers, and the strategic plan really outlines those policies, and we need to work with them to ensure that they understand it so they do implement it the way we want to do. None of us have the time as part-time members of this mayor and council to be the implementation team that makes this happen. That's the folks that are sitting in this room, and they do a good job of it. That's why we have to have great employees that implement those things.
Yes, they do. They're implementing a policy that we established. That's why I would like to see their implementers taking steps. I'm not saying I'm going to approve them or disapprove them. I don't even mean that. I just mean I'd like to see them.
Any other questions, comments?
Other questions, comments?
I think the great thing, and I'm looking forward to
Well, keep in mind, we started this in 2014, and that was the first year that we really put together what I would characterize as maybe a remedial type of strategic plan. So we have grown over the last 7 or 8 years as we move forward and how important the strategic plan is, and given the pressures that we are all under at this point in time as a mayor and council because of the tremendous growth we've been blessed with, not only on a residential side, but industrial and commercial side. And those all require a great deal of thought of how we use our valuable resources. And those resources are people and money and time to get all this stuff done. And so I think it's very, very important that we stay focused on what we need to really get accomplished to leave Erie the way we found it when we go on to do other things. And so that is something that's very important to me personally as to how I leave Erie for the people who are going to come behind and the quality of life that they're going to enjoy based on how good or bad a job we did. And so I think it's really, really important that we stay focused on that. So, Ms. Gilmore, comments before we move on from this?
Well, just following up on the implementation and everything, the whole regular process, council will be constantly advised about that. You'll be advised about that, number one, when you need money to implement this type of stuff. Well, but that's the fact. I mean, if you were to go in and say, yeah, this is all fine, we're going to adopt this, we're going to be ready to go, the administration would be back to you saying, we'd like to have $1 billion. Tim, you see what I mean? So you'll have that involvement up front. The second thing you'll have up on front, or next on the implementation will be, as was mentioned on the dashboards and everything, at any particular time, at any particular project or whatever it is, once that's been established, you or any citizen in the city can pull up and check and see where is the city relative to that on that time frame. And then if you as elected officials have any type of suggestions or changes or issues or whatever the case may be, then we can go back and adjust it. The third thing, which you're going to be definitely involved with, which has not been talked about here, but I know is coming, is going to be when you have conflict between these different types of proposals and everything. You know, which one should come first? Okay, what about if you get kickback from the community relative to these type of programs? What about if we are getting changing situations where different parts of the community, or maybe the community as a whole, is coming back and saying, we don't want to do it. We don't want you, to do this. You see what I mean? So those will be items that will be coming to you. Plus, along those lines, you'll be getting, I won't say constant, but regular feedback to you saying, these are things that are changing. Okay, for example, in your next work session, you're going to have presentations from the departments about what they see the impact is on having at least 24% of your working population working from home. And what does the impact of that mean? Because we've seen that with the pandemic, we've seen that with people like the groups of people that the city is interested in recruiting, feel that one of the most important things that we try to promote is going to be a viable, livable community that people want to live in. Well, a lot of these people are going to want to work from home. Okay, so what does that mean relative to the city and working from home? You see what I mean? So, you're going to have these different things that are going to come back. So we're going to say, we need to possibly adjust this council, or maybe you might want to move some of this stuff down. Or it could be some of these things we go through and take a look at and go, council members, this looks very nice and everything, but there really is no definable way to track or put something together with it. See what I mean? So rather than maintaining that, we may recommend that you drop that or shift that back. I think one of the other things you're also going to see too with this as we go on, I totally agree with the mayor about the 5-year implementation and everything, but there's also going to be other things coming to you that we're going to be saying, or you may be saying to us, okay? Yes, that's fine with the strategic plan for the next 5 years, but this is something we need to start thinking about now and doing some basic layout that won't be implemented or done in the next 5 years. Perfect example of that is our East Perry wastewater treatment plant. See what I mean? Luckily, you all had approved several years back for us to start that process to get going before we started having the super, hit with the growth and all that type of stuff. But we're not anticipating that plant to be online for 4 years.
Well, another good example is water treatment.
Yes.
We were 10 years ahead of that, and it's operational, but we knew we had to do that, so that was a discussion that started, and the team started looking at, okay, ESP was looking, what do we have to do, how do we do it, and that kind of stuff, and basically 10 years later, we had one online.
So you will be seeing, I guess get back to your question, you all as elected officials will be very involved and see all this type of stuff that's going on. If not, let us know, we'll provide it to you.
It was a very integrated part of our budget process as well. So these guys, they won't be fire trucks, they won't be firehouses. I'm sorry. Robert, any comments? You've been very involved in getting this produced and one of the reasons. Elaborate this one. Nothing at this point. Well, thank you. Very nice presentation, very concise, and I think it outlines very much what we hear from our constituents that we need to be focused on moving forward.
It's got a new firehouse.
Yeah, very cool.
Is there any other comments that anybody would like? Anything from ESP? I know that that plant can be running in 24 months, it's not right.
It is, we'll be running it.
I know you will, you'll be stepping up to do it. Well, if there's nothing else to come before us, is there anything, any other discussion items that we need to cover, Mr. Gilmore? Other than the strategic plan? If not,